Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll see what kind of controversies they get into. But between now and then, some great guests and important information coming your way. We'll talk about something called WinstonNet. WinstonNet, you'll find out about it. And we'll also have an expert here to talk about your feet and ankles and problems that can occur with them. And of course, Dave Briggs will be here. He'll let us know what's coming up at the High Point Theater, all that and much more. But first, we turn our attention to a wonderful, just an exciting grants program that's going to help a lot of folks and really beef up the economy and do great things in this area. We have three great guests to talk about it. On my right, my good buddy, David Mounts, who is Chairman and CEO of Inmar Intelligence, been here many times before, as has one of his special guests, Karen Barnes, is Executive Director of Venture Cafe Winston-Salem. Very special guest, bringing up the rear, and I mean that affectionately. Mark Owens is President and CEO of Winston-Salem Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
And
Thanks,
yeah,
Jim.
good to see you.
Good to see
and
you.
you may not know David, but Mark, I've tried to get on for like 2 years, and he said, I'm not coming unless David and Karen are here. So
That's right.
sort of extortion in a way.
That's
But anyway, all right, David, the city recently approved $900,000, almost $1 million, to help fund something called Venture Winston Grants.
Right.
Now, what's the purpose of these grants, and why have you been advocating for them?
So this is a public-private funded effort to bring some of the best and brightest entrepreneurs and get them to make their home Winston-Salem. So what we're doing is we've created a global competition. We're selecting companies in specific sectors to come in, and they can compete for a $50,000 grant.
Wow.
Which means that they get that funding to help start their business. They have to relocate as the founders to Winston-Salem. They have to put 51% of their staffing in Winston-Salem.
Good.
And they have to stay for at least 1 year. And if they do those things, they can receive this grant and also the wonderful support that we've got around from our entire innovation ecosystem to help them succeed.
Mark, why are these grants especially important now, and what kind of groups is the Chamber engaged with to make it happen?
Well, there's been a lot of hard work around the entrepreneur ecosystem, from Venture Cafe to Winston Starts, Flywheel, the Access Center, Center for Creative Economy, and so many more. We're aligned. We're focused on the 21st century and making business leading a way for us in the entrepreneurial effort. So these Venture Winston grants take us to another level that we haven't been to before, but we're ready for. And we have those wraparound services from our partners that are ready to do that, and it's time for our community to lead that effort and bring the best and the brightest here.
That's great. Karen, now what are the goals for the grants?
Absolutely. So we want to strategically support and retain and recruit startups here that are in our future focus sectors. So we are looking at the future of aviation, future of healthcare, future of augmented and virtual reality, future of cybersecurity, and the future of connectivity. So within 5 years, imagine if we had 20 companies or so in each one of those sectors, how that would completely change the landscape of our entire economy here.
Yeah, right.
From talent to more investment coming in, it's absolutely going to catapult us to the next level.
And I love how one of your key words was retain them too. I think that's
Absolutely.
important. David, other than money from the city, which is considerable in this, how are these grants going to be funded going forward?
Well, the county and city are able to provide funding for running the competition and marketing our community, and they've provided great support for that, and we're excited about that. The city has, and we're hopeful that the county will do as well. The rest of it's coming from private funders. This is from individuals and foundations. They're putting the money up to give these companies each $50,000,
Wow.
and they're doing that in a selfless way to try to make sure that we have one of the strongest entrepreneurial ecosystems anywhere in the world.
Mark, before we run out of time, just a closing comment maybe from you. I mean, you seem to feel good about this, and it's going to make a difference, right?
Absolutely going to make a difference. It's going to differentiate ourselves across the world, and we're set up for success here in Winston-Salem and the region. And with these partnerships and our alignment across so many other people in our community, we're right and poised, ready to grow, and it's an exciting time.
Absolutely. Now, I want to put up some information here. VentureCafeWinstonSalem.org is a website I'd like for you to visit. Also, WinstonSalem.com, that's the chamber website, which is up on screen right now. And of course, Inmar Intelligence, it's just Inmar.com still on the website. And I will mention that we were fortunate enough to get the three of these. Yeah, it's okay, Lori, let's see a wide shot. I want to credit them with, not only thank you for being here today, but you guys have cleared out your schedule a few weeks from now, and you said you're going to come back and we're going to talk about this some more, because I got some more questions, including I'm curious, has this worked anywhere else And so I want to pick your brain on that. And thanks for clearing your schedule and coming back, and we'll see you in a few weeks. All right.
Pleasure.
We'll be right back after this. Now on Triad Today, and foot health and ankle health are very important, and so I brought in an expert, and we're going to talk about it right now with this very lovely young lady, and I want you to meet her right now. Dr. Paula Gonkapada is instructor of foot and ankle surgery at Wake Forest Baptist Health, and we are so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you went to a whole bunch of universities, including Carolina, and the state people will not hold that against you.
Right.
But now, all right, let's say that I'm having trouble with my feet or ankles. Now, here's I wanted to ask you this anyway when I knew you were coming on. Why should I see a podiatrist as opposed to just calling up and going to see a family physician or a sports med doctor, who are great, but why should I see a podiatrist?
Sure, that's a great question. So a podiatrist or any specialist of the foot and ankle really deals with a wide variety of issues of that area. They include chronic issues or long-standing problems like arthritis, bunions, hammer toes, maybe a flat foot deformity, or an old injury that you had many years ago.
Oh, okay.
As well as acute things such as infections, sprains, tendon, ligament
Podiatrist is going to pick up on all that.
Right, right.
Typically, would I need to go to a family physician to get a referral to see a podiatrist, or can people nowadays just call up and try to make an appointment with a podiatrist?
It depends. In some situations, you need a referral from your primary care doctor, and in others, you can call. You typically have to get in touch with your insurance to find out which way to navigate.
Doc, what are some of the more common conditions that you deal with at clinic?
Sure. So I do see a wide variety of patients in my office. They range from children to adults to seniors, as well as diabetics and athletes too. So that affords a lot of different types of problems that walk in.
Right.
They can be soft tissue issues like warts or ingrown toenails. They could be arthritic problems or fractures of the foot and ankle as well. So in these cases, it's important to see a specialist who's focused on foot and ankle biomechanics, because in some situations we handle them non-operatively, and others I have to operate. And in those cases, having that expertise allows me to choose the right procedure to get you back on your feet.
Let me ask you about bunions.
Sure.
And I know this is going to sound like a stupid question, but I get confused about some of these. What is a bunion?
Sure. A bunion is a issue with your great toe joint especially. This is when your great toe starts to deviate over and touch the second toe. We tend to see these things especially more seasonally. So in the fall and winter months, patients are in closed-toed shoes, and they start to get more irritation at that great toe joint. It rubs up against their shoe, causes more problems, and there can be a component of arthritis in there as well. So that's what the main issue is.
How do you treat them?
So one way is conservatively, we initially start with wider shoes, maybe a splint over top or some padding. And then when those things don't work, we oftentimes have to do a more extensive workup, kind of take a look at your x-ray imaging, see what kind of arthritis is in there, what your activity level is, and then there are a variety of different surgeries that can be performed.
Now, what is plantar fasciitis?
Sure. So just as you were kind of indicating about the fall and winter months, in the summer months when we're in unsupportive shoes, we may start to experience heel pain. This is heel or plantar arch pain in your shoe or when you're walking around barefoot. A lot of times underneath the foot there's multiple muscle layers, and when someone steps down they start to have a lot of pain along those connective tissue bands that are underneath the foot.
That is very painful.
Yes, it is.
Now, what do you do to correct that? I mean, if somebody comes to you and obviously they got a problem, they're in a lot of pain, what do you do?
Right. So initially a lot of stretching exercises can be helpful, good supportive shoes. And then other things that can be attempted are rubbing things on the area or an injection in the area. That may help initially.
Now, before we run out of time, I'm going to put up some website in just a second, but who or what influenced you to go into medicine?
Sure.
Was it a person, an uncle, a father, a teacher?
That's a great question. I had the opportunity to shadow a number of doctors in the past, and I also had a clear interest in research as well. So I spent time as well as law. And so
You can do everything.
Yes, there you go. So I explored all the avenues, and I wanted to specialize in an area of the body that's really important to people being able to get around, being independent. And this is how I had that opportunity to do so.
Well, I'm glad you did. You made
Thank
a great choice, and we're so lucky to have you up on screen. wakehealth.edu/podiatry. please check that out. And of course, you can always check out the general website, wakehealth.edu. Paula, thanks for doing this. Will you come back sometime?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, Doc, thanks. We'll be right back now on Triad Today. Anybody that knows me knows that I am technologically and technical. I have these deficiencies. I still have a flip phone and I don't text. So anyway, I'm way behind. But my guest is way ahead, and she's involved in all sorts of space age stuff that's making us better, and we're going to find out how. Next to me, my special guest, Linda Goff, is Executive Director of something called WinstonNet. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Jim, for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, don't talk over my head now, but what is WinstonNet, basically?
Basically, WinstonNet is a technology nonprofit here in Winston-Salem that has we started about 2002. That's when we incorporated as a nonprofit, and our mission is to close the digital divide here in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County.
All right. Now, there was something you put in an email I was trying to understand. You said the digital equity and digital inclusion, and I'm thinking, okay, now, what are they and why does that matter?
Right. Well, digital divide, most people know what that means. It's those that can get on the internet and have a device and can do what they want to do, and those that don't. So that's the divide that we're seeing. But when we wanted to define it a little bit more, and so digital inclusion, the top 3 components that we're looking at to be digitally included are having a home broadband internet service or a mobile data plan,
Okay.
to have a device that you can use to get on, which is computer, laptop, smartphone, and also the digital skills necessary to be able to use it effectively.
Now, are you trying to make sure more people can get involved and engaged in that? I mean, how is your mission lining up with that?
Right. Our mission is really working with those that are disconnected, who are really digitally excluded. So we have a lot of programs to offer refurbished computers. We give them to K-12 students. We do it in some of the classes that we teach.
That's great.
And our big flagship program is our 24 computer labs that we have throughout the city. So in 18 of the city rec centers, we have at least 5 to 10 computers and free high-speed Wi-Fi, so people can come in anytime, use their mobile phone there, so it's a great place to go.
Now, Ken, what if they have any questions while they're in there? Because I can just imagine myself being in there and getting lost or something. You've helped make these internet devices available to them. I mean, can they call on somebody there at one of the training labs?
Well, that's sort of the challenge that we have. So when you're in a city rec center, there's a lot of activities going on, and there's not one specific person that's there, but where people are really very helpful, and you sort of create that sort of back-end community of people, so you find somebody, hey, do you know how to do this? But also, if you can go online, there's a lot of self-help, videos on YouTube and, training programs that they can go to help them out.
How is WinstonNet, and I know you're prejudiced because you work with it all the time, but how do you think WinstonNet makes the entire community stronger and better?
Well, a community is strong when everybody can participate, and so when we're talking about digital equity, that's really the goal here. There is in Winston-Salem right now, 1 in 6 households do not have access to either home broadband or a mobile data plan.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's 37,000 people in our community alone who aren't. So our goal and what we're focused on is how do we get them to that point? And I'll have to say AT&T and Spectrum have been offering some really low discounted home internet service, which has been really great for us. And
To
so we
make it
try
more
to promote
affordable,
that.
yeah.
Right.
But before we run out of time, what does the support of Kate B. Reynolds Charitable Trust mean to WinstonNet?
Well, KP Reynolds has helped us in the past quite nicely. So right now what we're trying to do is replace all of our equipment in the labs. So that's all 24 Wi-Fi and about 200 computers. And it would mean a whole lot to us to have KP Reynolds be part of this project with us. That's
great. Look, up on screen, so if anybody wants more information, winstonnet.org, winstonnet.org. And of course, the good folks at Kate B. Reynolds Charitable Trust that suggested this topic for us, and so we could talk about and learn about WinstonNet. Hope you'll visit their website as well, kbr.org. That is kbr.org. To Linda Goff, thanks for all you do for the community.
Well, thanks a lot, Jim, for having me.
All right. We'll be right back after this. All right, today for a segment we have no title for, and I keep wanting to call it Theater Corner, and that doesn't work But here with us is Mr. Theater. That's his title. Dave Briggs, director of the High Point Theater. I think if you go get a real ID card or something, you should just put Mr. Theater on there.
Mr. Theater?
Yeah, when they frisk you at the airport.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
anyway, welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
We have a lot to talk about,
We do.
and I want to go down a lot of these shows here. Now, this is a biggie. Thursday, March 12th, Georgia on My Mind. Tell me about that.
It's a remarkable show. It features Nina Freelon, Take Six, Kirk Whalum, and Clint Holmes. And they're celebrating the music of Ray Charles, who was truly an icon. I was blessed enough to be able to present Ray back in 1985.
Wow.
Very special man, incredible music. These four folks have like 14 Grammys combined. Take Six is in the Gospel Hall of Fame. These folks are amazing.
Yeah,
It's
and
gonna be
all
a great
attribute
show.
and all attribute to Ray Charles.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just
Very exciting.
It's just such a great. His music crossed over and touched so many
It
different
did.
types of
Country, soul, rock.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Everything.
All right, I want to ask you about Angelina Ballerina, Tuesday, March 17th. What is that about? What is she about?
Angelina Ballerina is a wonderful children's story. The show is actually at 6:30 at night, so you can bring your young kids to that. It's this fun mouse and all kinds of characters. If you have young children, you know who Angelina Ballerina is.
Okay.
And it's going to be wonderful. I recommend it for children 9 and under. Older kids might like it too, but it's going to be a great time.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Now, Sons of Maestro, and this is spelled M-Y-S-T-R-O,
Yes.
Sons of Maestro. That's Friday, March the 20th. Tell me about that.
They are a duo of violinists who have combined classical music with hip hop and jazz, and they're being tutored by Black Violin, who we've had a couple of different times, and
Right.
they're wonderful. And so these guys also have a Jamaican flair because they grew up in around Miami. They came from Jamaica, so they've got that islands.
Oh, yeah, the
theme and sound
Caribbean
as well.
type sound.
Really fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, an evening, I want to skip over to March 31st, an evening with Bollywood Boulevard. What the heck is that about?
Well, for a lot of folks, they've heard of the movies of India, but this particular show celebrates the film genre and the music and the dance of the movies of India. So this troupe, and this is their only North Carolina appearance, is coming all the way over here from Delhi.
Wow.
And they're playing on the West Coast. They're flying over to North Carolina to do our show and heading down to Florida for another date. This is a remarkable production, and if you need to see this. Now, it's on a Tuesday night, and it's at 7:30. So it's sort of an odd day for us to do shows, but this is going to be one very special event.
Now, just so I don't get confused, are they playing soundtrack music from Indian films or song or
It's-
cultural films, music that had come from those films? Or
Well,
what?
it's live musicians on stage, plus film clips behind them, plus the dance and the romance
Oh, wow, okay.
of the Indian cinema. So, and there will be some soundtrack work with that, but it'll be brilliant.
The final thing I want to bring up is something that you just told me about right before we went on with the program, which I didn't know about. But Croce plays Croce, of course, the great Jim Croce, and this, I guess, is his son is supposed to do that. He was going to be there at March 21st.
Yes.
And what happened?
Well, we found out just a day or so ago that he's been injured, and he's
AJ, who is the
AJ
son.
Croce was injured, and so he's going to have to rehab for about 6 weeks. And so we've rescheduled it for June 27th. Again, at 8 o'clock. If you already have tickets, they'll be valid for that, and we'll still have tickets available for that show
Now,
as well.
did the son, AJ Croce, live in, did he get caught in the tornado stuff?
Our understanding is that that injury might have happened because of that, but we're
Great
not.
music,
we have
though.
just conjecture at this point.
Time in a Bottle and
Time
some
in
of
a
those
Bottle,
great songs.
Bad Leroy Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Working at the Car Wash Blues.
Speaking
Oh,
of
yeah.
tickets, are tickets available for all these things? I'm thinking about Georgia on My Mind,
Yes.
Angelina Ballerina for the kids. So
They are. Tickets are always available, and they can call the box office. If you call the box office, you don't order them online. You know, we don't mind you ordering them, but if you call the box office, there's no convenience fee.
you save a little bit of money.
You save a little
Up on
money.
screen, highpointtheater.com is the website, but try and call the box office if you want to get tickets, 337-887-3001, and that is up on screen. And to Mr. Theater for bringing all these great things to us. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, sir. We'll be right back after this. Today, just about time for the roundtable. Well, I want to hold up the Yes Weekly. It's a special issue, Wonder Women of the Triad. they've got an ad in here. I don't know. You like when those ads drop out of
They
it?
sell ads in
Yeah,
there.
they're ads.
Yeah.
But anyway, pick that up. I think you'll like it. You'll learn a lot from there, just like you learned a lot from these three guys. Speaking of which, on my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster journalist. Next to him, B.J. Barnes, the current mayor of Summerfield, and Keith Granberry, the future mayor of Summerfield. I didn't know if you guys want me to announce that or not. But that's there'll be a contest coming up. All right, guys, before we get to Keith, of course, founder of Helping Hands Consultants, doing great work worldwide. All right, guys, before we get to our topics, I just want to congratulate Kathy Manning and Lee Haywood on their 6th district wins. And also, just ask you guys, were there anything surprise you coming out of the North Carolina races? Even the presidential part of North Carolina, but Senate, Congress, whatever. Quickly, Ogie.
Not really. I mean, the real story was Joe's showing. I mean, remember when you asked us a couple of weeks ago, when I said Joe would win, he was 12 points behind at that time.
Yeah, well, you were right.
Incredible.
BJ, any surprises?
There was no real surprises. There was a pleasing endings. For example, I was appreciative of the fact that Jim O'Neill is not going to have a runoff, that he's going to be the candidate. And also, Mark Robinson had 9 in his race, and he came out ahead.
Way ahead of Mark Johnson and Renee Elmers. That's kind of surprised me. A former congressperson didn't even register. Keith, anything surprise you?
Not really surprising, but I know in the 6th district, you had people who were in the same city running for office, and that always dilutes the vote.
Split the vote. But Rhonda Fox came up second, made a good showing.
She made a great showing
on that. And I thought it was interesting, guys, very quickly, that 12% of the Democrats who voted did not vote for Roy Cooper. It was like a protest vote or something. It'll be interesting to see where those 12% people go. All right, speaking of voting, Virginia has passed a law that'll make this fall's election day an official state holiday, ostensibly so it'll be more convenient for people to vote. Are you okay with making Election Day a holiday? Would you like to see that happen in North Carolina, Mr. Overman?
I certainly would. I think it's a great idea. The more the merrier.
All right.
Let's all vote.
BJ.
I think it's a terrible idea. Just change it to Saturday and all day Friday, even to the night Friday if you want to, and let's do away with the early voting and everything else that goes with it. Have 2 days worth of voting.
Keith.
BJ wants to do away with early voting because he doesn't want everyone to vote. This doesn't make sense to do away with early voting. People should be able to vote as much as they can. This doesn't make sense to me why people want to do away early voting and why it wouldn't be a holiday. This a democracy, BJ, a democracy.
So you're
the mayor of
enabling people to
Summerfield.
be sorry. Is what it amounts to.
Enabling
And not
people
take
to be
the-
sorry. Why are they
Not take the
sorry?
responsibility on themselves.
Why
to
are they
vote.
sorry?
When did you vote?
I vote every time.
Exactly.
But
and so do I.
But I do
And
early voting.
And so do anyone who
I do.
wants to vote.
But you're telling to take away early voting. That is wrong, BJ.
Well, if you
know
make
it's
it
wrong.
if you make it a holiday, would you still have the same number of early voting dates if it's a holiday?
It should be a holiday.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, let
BJ
me-
know
Oh,
it should.
yeah, give it away. There you go.
Welcome to Crossfire. All right, Barnes & Noble has now replaced a number of classics with new multicultural book covers so that characters like Frankenstein and the Wizard of Oz are now drawn with dark skin. Is this good for diversity or is it political correctness run amok? Ogie,
Sure, I don't see what the problem at all is with that. Big deal. Let's do it.
you don't care?
Not at all.
BJ,
Political correctness gone amok. I mean, who wants to be Frankenstein? I mean, who cares?
not me. Keith, what do you think?
I want more African American superheroes. Black Panther came out great. We've got a lot.
I'd rather be Black Panther than Frankenstein.
That's my thing. I don't think Frankenstein is a diversity plus for people. No,
He's green people.
All right.
He was green.
I like green
He was
people.
green. All right.
I enjoy green
I guess
people.
we agree on that. None of
We
us
do.
want to be Frankenstein. Oh, gosh. And 15 states and the District of Columbia now allow an illegal immigrant to obtain a driver's license. Are you okay with that? Do you think North Carolina would ever pass such a law, Ogie?
I don't see that happening in North Carolina anytime soon. I'm a little bit iffy on that, Jim. I've still got to work through
About
that.
the illegal, BJ.
Get the heart, people here, because these two are going to fall out. I am for them getting a driver's license because I think anybody on the road should have a driver's license to know what our laws are and what the rules
Wow.
are.
All right, Keith.
Listen, I don't have anything else to say after BJ said that. I absolutely think that people should be able to have a driver's license, but there's a process that they should be able to have.
If enacted, a new law We're not going to get through this. If enacted, a new law in Iowa says that parents can excuse their child from any lesson that addresses LGBTQ issues. Critics say it's an anti-gay bill. Very quickly, Ogie, do you have a problem with that new bill?
Well, of course, that is not only anti-gay, that is pro-ignorance, pro-backwardness, pro-narrow-mindedness. It's just
BJ.
dumb.
Not anti-anything, it's pro-parent. Let the parent decide what their children need to have and do.
Mr. Granberry.
Say what the question was again.
They said they made it a law so that if you're a parent, you can take your child out of class if they're discussing any kind of LGBTQ issue.
That's crazy. This is a world that we live in, that the diversity and all those inclusion is part of America.
Yeah, the only thing that bothers me is elementary school. I think it'd be fine for junior high and high school. Okay, finally, guys, according to a recent study, the act of falling in love deactivates part of your brain. Guys, whenever you've fallen in love, did part of your brain or anything else stop working? Ogie?
I like the way he throws that or anything else in there. He does that every time. Yeah, it does. I swear, it's so irrational. Love is the most irrational thing. Yeah, it does something weird to your brain.
BJ, your brain or anything else?
To be honest with you, I've been married twice, so I guess something did happen somewhere.
Yeah. Keith, when you've fallen in love, anything stop working? Or?
Yeah, I don't have a brain. She tells me what to do. what brain?
Man.
Deactivated. I don't have a brain. It's gone.
All right. I don't know about this group. Thanks, guys. That's all the time we have. Well, except for this. Doctors now say that soaking your feet in mouthwash has a therapeutic effect. Maybe so, said a man who tried it, but my wife hates to gargle afterwards. I don't know exactly what that means. But anyway, for all of us here at Triad Today, thanks everybody for going and voting and had a good turnout. We'll see you next week.